Yeah, it's interesting. I was listening to something last week, and they were talking. It was, I guess, how David Sachs, the godfather of SaaS, how he talks about everything, and he's like the way to fill a bucket is you have big rocks, pebbles, and
Mhm.
sand.
Right.
And when founders start a company, yeah, they focus either on too many pebbles or too much sand, and then you don't have the big rocks to put in the bucket, and you have to focus on the big rocks first.
Yep.
So I would assume that that's a big thing that you have to work on at SVT is make sure that you're focused on the big rocks first, and then you can spend some time on the smaller details.
Totally. I mean, like, so, having less capital, not that it's super enjoyable, it does force the scarcity to capital, forces you to spend and deploy the capital in the wisest way possible. And you have to really understand, if I don't spend money on this, it doesn't matter, right? And you're gonna forego a lot of stuff, right? And a lot of times it makes the product a little less refined, so on and so forth. But understanding what needs to be built when do you spend that money, how fast you meter the money out, that's crucial. And you're
And
doing the timing game, right?
and I would imagine that you have to answer to your investors as well. They're paying for you to solve the big rock problems, and if you all of a sudden pivot and focus on the pebbles and the sand, then they're probably going to keep you in check. So you have to stay true to what they wrote their check for.
So Ted Wang, who is the Cowboy Ventures guy, that he was like the venture capital lawyer for Facebook and Twitter, Dropbox. Like he's a Jedi. Um, he's a scale guy, right? He's all about scale and he's all about speed. And the funny thing is, my first board meeting with Ted, we talked about like our burn down chart and how fast we were going through money and like how much time before we hit zero, right? That the time to zero chart is always the big chart that you brief. And I was bragging, saying, "Hey, look at what's great! Like we're not burning money as fast, and our runway's extending, and we're just not, we're not. Yeah, I mean, this is a great thing, right?" And he was like, "Well, that's not good." And I laughed. I did exactly what you did. Like, no, seriously, that's not good. I said, okay, like, I don't get it. But he said, listen, if you're not putting the capital work, that means there's really one place you're putting the money, and that's in the people to write code and take the product to market. You're not doing that. All you're doing is deciding that you're going to bleed to death from a capillary wound, right? So the best way to die here is to go slow. So spend money faster, get us to the next stage, prove out that next set of milestones for the next stage of fundraising, and do it fast. And because you guys have a great idea, but if you go slow, you're going to get caught. So go fast.
And you can't be afraid to make mistakes. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
you have to learn from them. I mean, you can't be paralyzed by
you
being
can't be paralyzed. The key is not to make the big mistakes, right?
Right,
You're going to
right.
make mistakes. Just don't make the catastrophic existential mistakes, right? But the biggest mistake you can make is to be overly cautious, right? So it's a really uncomfortable feeling. I liken it to like two analogies. One analogy is you're sprinting across a tightrope with someone lighting one end on fire, right? And you're having to go as fast as you can. And so you're trying to make sure you don't fall off, but if you stand still, the fire catches up to you, right? The other is you've got a brick wall, which is no more cash, right? And what your instinct is to drive at the wall slowly so that the impact isn't that heavy, right? But the reality is you still hit the wall. If you do it right, though, it's almost like Back to the Future when you hit 88 miles per hour, the time machine turned on, right? You've got to like throttle up, drive as fast as you can to the wall, and just believe that you're going to hit 88 before you crash into the wall, right? And that, it's nerve wracking, right? Because
Right.
it's this like, do I throttle faster? how am I going to make it? When am I going to get there? Are the metrics going to line up? Or the go-to-market and the product going to hit at the same time? So that's really the art, I think, is timing those things and know when to go fast, when to be cautious, when to be aggressive. And I tell you what, I'm a lot better at it than I was 2 years ago. So
is there something that you've done to get better at that? I was going to ask a question around like, emotionally, physically, mentally, whatever. How do you like handle situations like that? And if you've gotten better at over the years, like, are there things that you've done to improve that? Because I mean, to most people, we're taught, don't do scary things. Wear them training wheels for as long as possible. Yep. And this guy from Cowboy Ventures, and they have a playbook themselves, but they're basically saying, just risk it for the biscuit, because if not, like, this money isn't in place. It's just sitting in a bank and it ain't worth it. And that's interesting because that's counter to what I feel like we've been taught just in life in general. So,
yeah, I mean, I'll give you an interesting example. We were talking about patenting some of our features, and it was a board meeting. They said, no, that's crazy. Why would you patent your features? And I think East Coast would be like, yes, patents are great. And, Ted's like, listen, it's going to take you 3 years to patent the feature. In the meantime, in the patent application, you have to disclose what it is you're patenting. If it doesn't get patented, then you just told the market what to do. The protection doesn't even land until 3 years from now. And it's software. In 3 years, the software will be obsolete, and you'll be on V3 of the software. So what's the point? Your best defense is speed. Be faster than everyone. Don't look over your shoulder. Try to defend. Besides, if you do, even if someone copies your stuff, you have to defend the patent. So now you're burning your capital on lawyers.
Well, you have to tell them the trade secret too, right? Or whatever. I mean, isn't it Coke that isn't ever patented and stuff like that?
Exactly.
So many people jump on that. I mean, Tim, I remember like when I had Hatch, like the physical place, people would be like coming in there and be like, I'm getting a patent or whatever. I'm like, how much money are you going to spend on this damn thing? Like, I'm sure you got like crazy. It's just like, it's
I mean, to AK's point and to your point, I think really a lot of people look at it as a patent as an excuse to slow down and catch your breath. And it's just like, just keep on going.
Yeah. Do shows like Shark Tank screw that up though, where they ask for questions like that? Or do you feel like they're pushed that because that's what they think people need to hear?
Well, but they're also selling, you're not doing enterprise software as a service on Shark Tank, right? You're selling widgets that you do, patenting something that's made out of molecules, that matters, right? Software world is totally different. It's really kind of hard to patent software from a legal perspective. It's tricky. So they're not easily defended.
I've been directly involved within our entrepreneurial community for years. And the most common question I get is, Tim, I want to get involved, but I don't know what events I should attend. Well, Startwheel eliminates that pain point because we consolidate all the events you should attend into a single calendar. Now you'll be in the know and see where to spend your time. Gone is the need to search multiple websites and calendars. Just head to startwheel.org and see for yourself. That's startwheel.org.